Salam, salam, and shalom, and welcome to Zenternal Music. So this video is going to be a video about gods, G-O-D-S. So that's plural, multiple gods. We're going to talk about religion, and we're going to talk about different regions on Earth. We're going to break down the whole concept of where these things come from, and get to the bottom root to guide people toward the true light and the right path, which is Yahuwah Elohim, His Son, Yahushua HaMashiach, who died for us. He's the only one who died for us, and His set-apart spirit that He gives to us. So let us start the teaching. Well, I guess I'll set up the premise first. So I'll talk about the notes that I have here, and then I'll open up the scriptures to back what I'm saying. Okay, so in regards to gods, so every region on Earth has mythos, legends of their own gods, right? For example, Egypt, right? Egypt has their gods. If people can name them, so we got Thoth, Aten, Nefertiti, like all these. That's where the Aten come from, Akhenaten. So it's all their like rulers, these things and these people. And again, the pyramids, it's all connected to these gods. Europe is known for the Norse gods. So gods such as Odin, Thor, Freya, Loki, etc. A lot of people know these because they're in even the Marvel comics, and especially God of War's recent game for the PlayStation 4 does some good history lesson on these gods. Asia, we got, let's say, like India. So the Hindu gods, the Ganeshas, the Krishnas, the whatever the gods are. So you have that. You got the South Americans, the Incan gods, right? The Mayan gods, native gods. They put them on the totem poles. Again, the pyramids as well. North South America. We got Greek gods. Zeus and Kronos and Athena and all that type of stuff. Adonis, Persephone, etc. Romans, Mars. A lot of the stars, right? So those 7 wandering stars named after Roman gods, right? The Babylonians. So yeah, Mars and Jupiter, Saturn. Babylonians named the same thing. Named the same gods. So I've written here, so all of these gods are actually the fallen angels. So let's open up to Genesis chapter 6, and we'll read 6 up to verses 4. To 6 and 4. Okay, so, or 6, we'll just do 1 to 4. So when people began being numerous on the earth, and daughters had been born to them, the sons of Elohim, looking at the women, saw how beautiful they were, and married as many of them as they chose. Yah said, "My spirit cannot be indefinitely responsible for human beings who are only flesh. Let the time allowed each be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and even afterwards, when the sons of Elohim restored to the women and had children by them. These were the heroes of days gone by, men of renown. Now the sons of Elohim they're not people. These are angels. They are not human. They're not flesh. They're light. They're energy. Okay, they're angels. And they came down and saw the women on earth and had children with them, right? Now that's in Genesis. Genesis doesn't really go that far, but it's giving you a little heads up in that, so you can see that. So if we open up to the book of Enoch, and it's actually chapter 6. So let's go to chapter 6. And it came to pass when the children of men it's the same thing as Genesis, had multiplied, that in those days were born to them beautiful and fair daughters. And the angels, the sons of heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, "Come, let us choose wives from among the children of men, and have children with them." And Semyaza, who was their leader, said to them, I fear you will not agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of this great sin. And they all answered and said to him, and so it's amazing. They know that it's a sin, but yet they still want to do it, right? And they all answered and said, let us swear an oath, and all bind ourselves by mutual curses, so we will not abandon this plan, but do this thing. Then they all swore together and bound themselves by mutual curses. And they were in all 200 who descended in the days of Jared, in the summit of Mount Hermon, and they called it Mount Hermon because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual curses on the act. And there's so many deep things from this. I don't know if you guys ever watched films, and in the film, I think it's Paramount Pictures, you see how at the beginning they always have the stars and then it goes over top of the mountain? That right there is representing this. It represents the fallen angels. It represents the stars that fell. They came down and they landed on the mountain. And Mount Hermon is in Israel, Jordan. It's bordering Syria and Jordan and Israel. It's all, or Lebanon. It's all there, right? Go open a map, you'll see it. There we have the story of them falling, and so you can see that they even had an act. They swore together, etc., to do this thing, blah, blah, blah. They know it was wrong. They know they were transgressing because it's a sin. Sin is the transgression of what's right. So they did the wrong thing. And these are angels, not people. So it gives a list of all the names, like, I'm not going to read that. So let's go 7. Chapter 7, and all of them together went and took wives for themselves, each choosing one for himself. And they began to go into them and defile themselves with sex with them. And the angels taught them charms, spells, cutting of roots, and made them acquainted with plants. And the women became pregnant, and they bare large giants, whose height was 3,000 cubits, bracket L's. So these things are enormous. They're like the buildings that we build today. That's how big these things were. They're bigger than that too, right? The giants consumed all the work and the toil of men, and when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. And they began to sin against birds, beasts, reptiles, fish, and to devour one another's flesh, and drank the blood. Then the earth laid accusation against the lawless ones. And Azazel taught men to make swords, knives, shields, breastplates, taught them about metals of earth, and all the art of working them, and bracelets and ornaments, and use of antimony, and the beautifying of the eyelids, and all kinds of precious stones, and all coloring of dyes. It was great impiety. They turned away from Elohim and committed fornication, and they were led astray and became corrupt in all their ways. Because again, they're following flesh. That's not even the spirit. The angels left their first habitation, which was the heavens, glory and peace and shalom. They left all that behind to go after flesh. So that's how wrong it is. And we ourselves also have to learn to turn away from our own flesh and come in towards spirit, so that we be guided unto glory, unto light, and unto truth. See, this is powerful. Destroy all the spirits of lust and the children of the watchers, because they have wronged mankind. So that we know that it's an evil spirit, and that's the spirit that we don't want to have. We don't want the spirit of lust. But that's where pornographic material comes from. Pornography, it's spirit of lust. When somebody's killing somebody, it's the spirit of murder. These are all wicked spirits from the dark energies, right? The higher archons, the higher powers that are evil. When the scripture says that we don't wrestle against flesh, but we wrestle against the evil in high places, it's talking about this. You have to understand that. And if you understand it, that's how you can turn away from the evil and become righteous. To uproot the sin, you have to see the sin in your heart. And when you see that this is what's wrong, you can destroy it. You have to uncover the root, and then it goes away. Just like a plant has to be uncovered, you uncover the roots of the plant, and the plant will wither and die. Once you cover the roots, it stays alive. But if you don't cover the roots and it's exposed, it will die. So you have to kill the sin where it is. The point is this. All these gods so I'm going to continue reading here. The fallen angels were worshipped as gods because they were not human, and they taught men many secrets and crafts from the heavenly realm, not of earth. That's correct. So the Most High is the only one deserving worship, not the angels. So try to remember the book of Revelation, and John, he bowed to the angel, but the angel corrected him, don't do that. We worship the Most High only, who is the highest spirit. He is righteousness, peace, and love, the truth. Nothing other than that. Only goodness, nothing evil. We know love by the Mashiach's example, the Most High. This is the crutch, and this is I just gave you guys jewels and gems. This is why you see religion today. This is why you go around the whole world and every peoples have a God that they worship, but the God is really an old angel from a long time ago who came, and again, he wasn't of flesh, so they worshipped him. Okay, and it makes a lot of sense. If something is not like you, they kind of have energy, they're moving, they're doing different things, they have, it looks like power, wow. So then it makes sense our ancestors would worship them. But they were confused because they themselves had no light. The Mashiach at that time didn't exist, didn't come yet, you know. So they were already lost. You know. So we have to count our blessings. We live in the future where Mashiach came and already died for us and lives forevermore. You see, so that's a spiritual nugget of the day on Zen Eternal Music. I hope it was a blessing. I hope it brings you closer in the walk to walk uprightly with your Elohim as we walk each and every day, denying the lusts in our heart, the fornication, the adultery, the robbery, the stealing, the lying, the treachery, the murder, and whatever, any type of thing that is unrighteous. We must uncover it, and by uncovering it within our hearts, we've destroyed it. And that acknowledgement to turn away, now 180 degrees, you turn away and you walk upright with the Most High. So that's what we are required to do, and to be of righteousness. So this is Zen Eternal Music. Salem and Salem, Shalom and Shalom, and I bid all farewell. Peace and blessings to the family worldwide. Shalom.